I actually would like him to take the lead on this, but I could start. Can I start them off with their opening statements?
Sure.
And then I'm going to turn this over to you. If that's okay with the rest of the panel, I mean, he's been prepared for this. Okay. Well, welcome. Why don't we start down at the far end here and introduce yourself and take about a minute to do your opening statements and work your way down the line.
My name is Pamela Elizondo. I've been campaigning for public office since 1986 with the platform of using taxpayers' money only to put people to work, only to employ people restoring this earth. And our taxpayers should be only used for that. I don't like to pay for defense. I don't want to pay for sending our people to war. I don't want to pay for an educational system that doesn't teach our children respect for themselves and their earth. And I believe that we can grow marijuana everywhere, particularly the vineyards that are water and land wasting properties, and we get nothing from them. But if we grew marijuana with just the vineyards in California, we could produce plastic sacks, gasoline, a substitute for nuclear, coal, and hydro energy, an entire house with an incinerator toilet that takes no water and no septic system, and we can sell for billions of dollars around the world. We could also create a lack of unemployment. We can put people to work at $15 an hour for a 30-hour work week and give them a good job and put them to work instead of prison, growing marijuana everywhere.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Press the button until the green light comes on.
I've got a red light. I'm still holding it. Will do. Yes.
I think it's just a red light that comes on instead of a green. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for hosting this event and for having Californians come in for it. I greatly appreciate it. My name is Karen Roseberry, and I'm a 38-year-old educator from the Antelope Valley. I've been doing this for the last 7+ years, and I believe that children are the best return of investment on our time, students. And in the years that I've spent teaching, I have seen an apathy sweep over our young people that must be corrected. We are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and we need a candidate that represents that, a citizen stateswoman. I put together a platform called Save the Future. I hold a master's degree in political science, and with that degree, I believe that there are 4 primary areas that we need to address. We need to address security in our foreign policy. We need to address accountability in our spending because we have a $19.2 trillion debt that must be reined in by spending on constitutional measures only. And we need to have values in the Constitution which represent life, liberty, freedom, and opportunity. Also, because I'm an educator, I believe in excellence in education by bringing those decisions back to the local school board level with parents and teacher involvement. The federal government does not belong in education, neither financially nor curriculum-wise. Common Core does a disservice educationally to our students. It teaches math backwards, which teaches logic backwards. It teaches revisionist history and Reconstructionist science. And this is a curriculum decision that should be managed at the local level. My name is Karen Roseberry. I look forward to your questions this afternoon, and I hope, indeed, for your endorsement. Thank you very much for your time and for being here, and again, for bringing Californians in for this event.
Hello. Is it working?
You gotta use the other one.
Hello, my name is Herb Peters. I'm from Lancaster, California, and I'm a candidate for United States Senate. I'm a candidate because the difference in our country from the 1800s to the 1900s is like day and night. During the 1800s, Andrew Jackson had 7 balanced budgets in his 8-year term. Franklin Pierce vetoed a welfare bill in 1853. And Grover Cleveland vetoed a farm subsidy in about 1882. These were constitutional Democrats that did their best to comply with the Constitution. The government itself was financed just enough to do what they were obligated to do by the Constitution, and that was to pay their own wages and to provide the military. We need a military, and we should all be able to carry our own guns if we choose. I am a Andrew Jackson Democrat, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Tim, are you all set to ask a couple of questions? We only really have time for a few anyway, so panel set up, that's okay. But he's taking the lead on this, so go for it, Tim.
Oh, okay, go.
So we are currently live streaming this on the internet, and I am on a literal page for California voters to ask questions. So there's like 5 pieces of technology here working. So the first question is for Karen Roseberry. Why are you the best candidate running who can re-identify the Republican Party in California?
Thank you, Tim. I'm the best candidate running that can re-identify the party, the Republican Party in California for several reasons. Primarily, they're strategic reasons. Right now, the California Republican Party has a defeatist mindset. They do not believe that they can win a statewide election. Chairman Jim Brulte of the California Republican Party has essentially said as much, and he's also basically said that the Republican Party has been identified in the state as the party of the middle-aged, slightly overweight white guy. His words, not mine. I don't necessarily dispute that fact. I am the only conservative woman who is running, the only Republican woman running. I am the youngest candidate who is running, and I'm also the only educator who is actively running. By running an educator rather than an individual coming out of the political machinery of the party establishment, you're going to be able to draw the moderate vote, which is absolutely essential. With 28% of the voter registers being Republicans and 28% of the registered voters being independents, undecided, declined states, we need to have a candidate that's going to draw them back over, and an educator and an individual that is not coming from that establishment is the candidate to do so, which is why Karen Roseberry for U.S. Senate is the best candidate.
Just a little FYI, you guys don't have to stand up in case you're, you do whatever you want, I'm just letting you know. Okay, so first question is from Brian Bitterman. It says, question all the candidates, yes or no answer. Are you in favor of allowing men and women to use the public bathroom together and or transgenders? We'll start with you, Ms. Elizondo.
Hard question. I mean, it's so unimportant in comparison to questions of poverty and unemployment and things like that. But no, I'm not in favor of it. I think when you're born a man, you're a man, and when you're born a woman, you're a woman. Doesn't make any difference what you do to the body, it's the same thing. I don't care what they do with it, but I don't think that they should share it. I don't want them in our public teachers. I think we should, I think there's a certain little line that we should make about whether men and women are appropriate and right.
Thank you. Just to reiterate, this is yes or no, only because of some questions.
It's a no.
Thank you.
I don't want them sharing.
Ms. Roseberry?
I'm sorry.
No, I believe that there are some safety concerns in public restrooms when genders would be crossed.
Mr. Peters?
No.
Okay, second question, also from Brian Bitterman. Do you support AB 1461? We'll start in the back again.
What is it?
He did not say. Okay, then I guess you can just pass it. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I don't know whether he did this way.
You can't keep in touch with every single thing.
Especially in California, I understand that. I definitely understand that. Okay, next, we'll just skip that question, I suppose. Since, yeah, okay. Next question. So being a California native myself, and being a Republican and a delegate party member, I felt a lot of libertarian influence in the party politics, especially with younger politics. So my question for you is, do you feel there's a divide between the millennials in your state versus whichever generation you identify with? Yeah, so go down the line.
Oh, there's no division between me and the elderly, the poverty, the racial. I get along with everybody. I think everybody needs rights.
Thank you.
I believe that the millennial generation is frustrated by party politics. I think that they have seen money come into politics too often and actually give them that apathy that I referenced for the young students as well. I think that they believe that they can't make a difference. And so yes, I think that we need to draw them back in by teaching them accurately and giving them a reasonable expectation of what government can and cannot do for them. And I think that there's a disservice being done right now in the presidential election with gentlemen like Bernie Sanders, basically offering free everything and not properly explaining that there is no such thing as free when it comes from taxpayer money. Taxpayer money will run out, and an entitlement mindset is a completely unsustainable financial solution. In reference to AB 1461, I'd be mostly opposed. It's a motor voter registration, and they basically have gone ahead and changed the way that you get a driver's license, which would potentially change who's voting as well.
Thank you. Ms. Peters?
I don't have any feeling about the difference between ages, and I do lean towards the libertarians. I think the libertarians are for compliance with the Constitution. Our government leans on the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court misinterprets the Constitution. The Constitution stays as written from the beginning, and that's what you get when you read it. You get the Constitution as written, but it's not what is how our country abides by the document. They abide by the Supreme Court rendition of the document. I'll give you one example, and that is money. Constitution says Congress has the power to coin money. At first, when Abraham Lincoln printed money out of nothing, the Supreme Court ruled that fiat money was unconstitutional, which I believe was a correct decision. And then the President Grant selected 2 new Supreme Court judges. He had 2 vacancies. And the Republican Supreme Court approved these 2 judges who were both pro-fiat money, and in the Constitution, the interpretation was that we could print money, create money out of nothing, and that's why we have such huge deficits today.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. The next question is for all of you. This will be a yes and no question. Given the water issues in our state of California, do you feel the EPA is a positive or negative impact on the state of California in regards to water rights? Ms. Alonso.
Well, I mean, if it's concerning the canals that rich folks are setting up.
It just says in general EPA regulations on water rights for California.
And that is, but I mean, I've been watching the water rights on Lake Shasta up in Northern California. It feeds all the way from Redding down to San Diego. And the reservoir was well down below a quarter full 2 years ago. And the Sacramento River that feeds it was way down. I feel like one thing that we could do to stop the drought or help the drought is we could pass a law only
I don't want to be rude,
but he went on and on. You can pass the law.
That's a different question.
But we can pass a law that allows agriculture to water only from 9 to 10 o'clock at night, and it would ease our drought heavily.
Thank you, ma'am.
I guess that's a no.
Yeah, is there a question? Ms. Roseberry?
The EPA is a negative influence in terms of regulation on the drought.
Thank you. Ms. Peters?
I agree. The EPA is not doing the right thing.
Okay, next question is a yes or no answer, or yes or no answer. Is given the anti-Second Amendment mentality of California, do you feel that allowing campus carry where it's legally viable, given our California gun laws, would you support something like that?
I think everybody should have a right to have a gun and protect themselves. There's a lot of bad guys out there that run the government and they have guns, but I'm not sure exactly what to do.
Thank you,
So I guess I say undecided.
Yes, ma'am.
I am very pro Second Amendment rights and the rights to carry a weapon. The right to carry a weapon on a school campus, I would need to evaluate further. That one concerns me a smidge, depending on the age of the campus. If it's a college campus and everyone is over the age of 18, I would be much more inclined to be supportive of such a measure. If it's a school campus where there are young children present, there would be tremendous regulation that's needed to ensure the security of those guns in the possession of a person.
I apologize. This was in location to college campuses. I apologize for confusion.
College campuses I don't have an issue with.
Mr. Peters?
The right to carry guns, we have that right. We have, from our Creator God, the right of self-defense. And I believe that everybody should be able to carry a gun. There is one caveat. They must be adequately trained to know the rules of engagement. And this must be precisely and deeply ingrained. You cannot just carelessly carry a gun. It must be within precise rules.
Okay, I know it's very tough to limit your answers. Having been in the seat, having been elected, I know this. Do your best with this. Again, Tim, please go ahead.
Mr. Peters, given an answer, I just got a question for you. They said, Mr. Peters, what is your definition of the Second Amendment?
I would like to say it by heart. I have something about a militia and the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. And to me, the key word is infringed. When you take away ammunition, you're infringing my right to bear arms.
Okay, I have a follow-up question for you, Mr. Peters. What is your definition of infringement?
I own a gun. You want to charge me 5% extra sales tax? No way, that's an infringement. You want to double the taxes on ammunition? That's an infringement.
Okay, this is another yes or no question for the panel, as it sees. Given the high taxes in California, would you support lowering taxes anywhere you could to help out your constituents in the state of California on the federal level? Ms. Elizondo.
I have a plan for making more money for all three tax bases, so I would center in on that very seriously on the federal level.
Thank you. Ms. Roseberry?
Yes, I support.
Yes, I support the lowering of taxes whenever applicable and available.
The idea of lowering taxes, we must reduce the amount of things the government is buying and paying for. They give subsidies. They give subsidies to foreign countries, etc. We need to tame our government spending down so that we can afford to live.
The next question is a yes or no question. It is given to all of you. We'll start with Ms. Alonso. The question being, would you support dismantling the federal version of the Department of Education and giving it to the states? Yes or no, Ms. Alonso?
Yes.
Ms. Roseberry?
Yes, gradually over time, because it did not come into its current form overnight as well.
Mr. Peters?
I would think yes immediately.
The next question is it's a geographical one and a foreign policy question. Given our current situation in the Middle East, would you recognize the nation of Kurdistan as it stands now, given freed Iraq and captured territory in Syria? Ms. Alonso.
It's their land. I think we should start letting them do what they want to do there.
Ms. Roseberry?
I would think that they need to be in a place where they can establish security for that country that they would like to establish. So I believe that anytime we can
Assist.
Use the other microphone.
Share the mic.
I believe anytime that we can assist an independent people in the establishment of an independent nation, that would certainly provide security, and it would also be able to deal with the ISIS threat that is there, would be productive. There are some bigger issues that would kind of need to be taken into consideration before it could just be a straight yes or no, especially in regards to the viability of those people to be able to secure their borders and establish a government. But in theory, it would be good to support such an initiative.
Mr. Peters?
Kurdistan, I believe that we have 800 bases around the world. We need to bring our troops home from every country in the world, not just that one. And we need to let them determine what they want to do. And I would urge us to send the Christian churches to send missionaries to those countries to teach them how to live.
Okay, Tim, actually, since there's only about 10 minutes left, I wanted to get other panel members in, if that's okay.
You're the boss, go ahead.
Thank you. Remaining questions, given the time, and I know it's not your favorite, yes or no answers only, please. Panelists, please ask the question in such a way that it can be answered yes or no. Who wants to start this? All right, Nathan.
Do you think we should get rid of the agricultural checkpoint on I-15? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. We did it. Okay, how about, I guess I'm gonna randomly pick. I'm gonna go with Assemblyman John Moore.
Hi, Assemblyman John Moore here from Nevada. With the yes or no answer here, on the Second Amendment, do you support or not support, yes or no, on the banning of certain firearms or right to carry them or own them?
I support.
Such as assault rifles, that sort of thing.
No, I don't.
We can't hear you, Mike. Speak to the microphone, please.
I don't think we should stop them. We have to cure our society.
I think that there are current regulations that are sufficient, so no further ban would be necessary.
No further bans.
Jim Jonas, radio show host for Veterans of Politics. Yes or no, should the state of California increase the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit for 3-axle vehicles?
Partially. That can't be an overall answer. I mean, I live in Northern California. I wouldn't want to go at above 55 up there.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's no.
No,
Okay.
it's a partial.
Okay. Ms. Roseberry?
Roseberry.
Roseberry, I'm sorry.
It's already being violated as it is. I would say no, because if it goes up higher, we're going to see it go faster, so no.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Peters?
On my trip up here today, I was passed by a truck. I was doing 71, and a big 18-wheeler passed me. I agree we should raise the speed limit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, who?
Good
Okay,
afternoon.
Rob.
My name's Robert Faust, former U.S. Army, local businessman. Thank you for being here today. Where do you each stand on the woman's right to abortion? And would you fund or defund Planned Parenthood? We'll start with you, Ms. Elizondo.
I believe a woman's right to do to her body is what she should do. We have an awful lot of extra kids in this world our government doesn't want to take care of. And I believe that we have a right, and I would fund abortion centers.
Thank you.
No public funds whatsoever should be used for abortion. I believe that this matter is still open to debate amongst the people. It should have never been settled by judicial activism on the bench. We understand that the Supreme Court has been wrong in previous cases. There's been 40+ years of science since Roe versus Wade that should be taken into consideration for a legislative action in terms of when life in fact does begin. I personally believe life begins at conception.
So that's a no on abortion?
The question was whether or not public funds should be used, and it is a no.
No, the question was, do you support women's rights to an abortion, and would you defund Planned Parenthood? That was the question.
I support the right of all women to a right to life, including those that have not yet been born.
So that was a no. Yes or
It's
no?
as stated. I believe in the right to life for women and men.
I believe in the right to life. Life begins at conception. And our country has gotten way too lax on sexual activity. The idea of sexual activity is between a husband and a wife. And today we have teenagers, and then the government says, well, okay, we'll pay for the delivery of your child if you want to have a child. I also do not believe in abortion, and funding of Planned Parenthood is a completely separate subject, and the federal government has no business funding Planned Parenthood.
Okay, I'm going to go with the last question.
Rob Lauer?
Are we going down here?
Yeah. So,
I'll go with
okay, in San Francisco, we saw an illegal alien who was deported several times kill an American citizen. Do you support, as a U.S. Senator, cutting off funding for sanctuary cities like San Francisco? Cut off federal funding. Do you support that, yes or no?
No.
Absolutely yes, they are in violation of federal law. They should not be receiving federal dollars.
We shouldn't be funding any cities. Cities should be raising their own money from their own people, not from the federal government. It doesn't matter. Well,
Okay, well, thank you all for participating, but we have one last thing to do, and that is our closing statements. I think we have about a minute per person. I guess we could start with Herb. I think we should work our way down the line, and that will conclude our afternoon here. But please start.
I started out with the daylight posture of our early government. They found ways to abide with the Constitution. This all changed in 1900 with Theodore Roosevelt, who believed in progressivism. And now we have the curse of progressivism. We have such deep deficits that if the government raised taxes and took every dollar from everyone's income, they would still have deficits. That's how bad it is today. And President Obama, when he talked about in his State of the Union, he says we have reduced deficits by 3/4. And yes, he did. He did reduce from $2 trillion deficits to $800 billion day deficits. That $800 billion day, which he modeled, is the worst deficit up until about 10 years ago. And then, while he was giving that speech, he didn't tell us that the 2016 deficit on that day was $7 billion per day. Way, way, way greater than the one he was talking about. What we need to do is get control of our government. Our Republicans and Democrats let us down, and we need to reduce government.
Thank you again very much for assembling this panel and assembling these candidates together. As you make your consideration for who to endorse for the United States Senate, I would draw attention to the fact that we are in need of more citizen stateswomen. We have had for far too long career politicians, lawyers, representing us in Washington and failing us there. It's time to put forward a candidate who understands the issues, who understands the Constitution, who wants to ensure that our laws are consistent with constitutional values, wants to ensure that our spending is reined in, that the value of the American dollar is passed along so that the currency is actually valued for the next generation, that wants America to take its proper leadership role in international affairs without necessarily having to have boots on the ground in every country, but recognizing the realistic worldview of each nation with whom there are dealings taking place. And finally, recognizing that education is important, but it's a decision that is best left at the local level, and that will work towards ensuring that the federal government reduces its role in education, its funding in education, and puts those decisions back at the local level for parents, teachers, and local school boards to make, so that we can, in fact, save the future.
We're spending $5.26 billion on defense right now. San Francisco is spending almost trillions of dollars on destroying the land there, putting up skyscrapers and building unneeded highways, and the city is full of poor people. I don't hear any of the people I have ever campaigned against offer one single solution to doing something for the people. It's all money, money, money. Let me take you to the cleaners. We send our young kids to die for us, and we get nothing in return except a lot of nothing. I suggest we put people to work growing marijuana everywhere, pay them $15 an hour for a 30-hour work week and a $300 a month stipend, which comes to $27,000 a year, which would put 2.5 people to work for what we keep one person in prison for. I suggest we start looking towards life, providing water by growing marijuana everywhere for all of its uses. We can stop global warming and the need for war.
Okay, well, thank you. I know it's a tough format, but you all did very well. Panelists, thank you again for your service. Certainly 6 hours into this, And this was our conclusion. I've been honored to serve as the moderator today. And certainly wish everyone well in their campaigns. And I think that we stand in recess.